How are we going, everyone? I'm just out here with the Espalier citrus trees to have a look at them. You see they've put on some spring growth. We've got lots of flowers. Still flowering. Look at this orange tree. It's covered in flowers, maybe too many. Now, these need to be thinned out. If you have never espaliered before, what you need to do, well, this is an informal espalier. There's really two types. We do a formal, which is controlled horizontal laterals, you know, the branches, and informal, which is a fan shape to sort of spread it out as even as possible without overlapping the branches. Now, with this plant here at the moment, I'm looking at it, I was going to come in, well, my intention was to come in and clean it up and thin it out a bit. But I'm just going to wait for this to finish its flowering cycle, set some fruit and some of this new sort of soft growth to harden off a little bit more, and then I'll go in and clean out the parts that I don't want and obviously thin out some of the fruit as well. So when you see this growth coming out here, when you're espaliering, you don't want growth coming out. It's meant to be a two-dimensional sort of look. As you're looking at here at the moment, it's an east-west look and straight up. And any branches that come out on both sides, because we've got two sides to this espalier, you take off. Like that one there, for example, and see how it's growing out here? It's quite rigid. There's no need for me to pin that back to the framework because I've already got branches above there. So I don't really need this. I can try and push some of these down here like that and pin them down. Now what? We're here now. Why talk about it and not do it, huh? This is what happens. I come to do one topic and end up doing something else. Here too. See that's the remnants of rust. See all that there? Don't worry about that, that's gone. There's new growth coming through, that's all good. But over here on this side, see the new growth coming up there? So we've got that there, we've also got growth here. There's lots of new shoots coming on everywhere. We can pin that there, but we don't need that as well. But we've got a bud coming on here, but look, we've got so many buds everywhere. Just take that out for now, like that. And we've got that one can be pinned down there. Now back here again, look at all this. If you prune it too hard with the citrus, that is, like if you take up too much of these, all this new growth, you're going to shock the tree into going into growth spurt again. So avoid pruning it too heavily, and best time to prune is as soon as it's finished flowering. As soon as the flowers are finished and it's set fruit, you can go in and thin out the ones you don't want. Like here, we've got a lot of growth. It's on the other side. I'm not going to try to prune it now, but all that, there's too much upright growth. That should get pinned down to here, and then we thin out every second one or every third one. Just keep the main one that's going to give you the right direction of growth. So that there, for example, can get pinned onto here, and all this can come off. It's not going to produce any fruit, and there's no need to keep it on unless it's going to be a branch that's going to grow through and follow all the way out to there. Anyway, once the flower's finished and set fruit, I'll come back and prune it properly. But for now, we're going to deal with this little sucker. This is a Meyer lemon tree. We try to work out what's gone wrong with it. Well, we sort of did work out. It got flooded, it drowned, and it's never recovered. It had lots of flowers and fruit on it in the past. You can see the previous little stems there where we had the fruit hanging off it. But ever since then, it really hasn't come good. So it's time to come out. I'm going to repot this and take it back to the sick bay and try and nurture it back to good health. We're going to replant another one. We've got one there that's a Eureka. That's a nice, fresh, healthy one. Let's see if we can kill that one too, eh? Before I cut this back, we're going to dig it up and see what's going on down below. And ideally, in a situation like this, I'd cut it back to about 50%, if not more. Get it down to here and see if we can stimulate some new growth. Because obviously the roots are suffering. There's something going on down there and they're not coping with the tree above. Oh, this is really good composted bark, folks. Just pulling the bark away. Look how soft, it's super soft. I don't know. We don't always get it right, folks. Why I'm using a garden fork is so I can loosen up the soil without cutting into the roots. You know, if by any chance there were roots growing out. That's popping up so easy. Look. Why is that just broken off? Look at that, that's part of the root there. Are you kidding me? Let me get underneath this and lift it up. That's still tied up, you idiot. Where are you tied up? Nowhere. You just got branches growing through everywhere. Mate, I don't think there are any roots left on this plant. Wow. All the feeder roots are gone on this. Wow. It's rotted out. From the water. It's damp as. No irrigation at all, folks, at all. We're not irrigating at all here. They're doing well, but this one went backwards and it's never recovered. Let's have a look at this. You're kidding, it's not that wet. No, it's damp, it's moist, but it's not slurry wet. I'm going to dig in some of the bark. That's just rotting out. Look at it. It's gone black, discoloured. Look at the outer skin. Look at how it's all peeling off. Yeah, that's gone to heaven. It's going to heaven, actually. All right, we're going to try and save it. It'll be a waste of time, but we'll give it a go. I'm going to cut some of this off because that's all diseased. And we're not going to cut 50% off. We're going to cut a lot of it off. Did we try and graft it here? I don't think so. Look, it's split open there too. The tree's completely stressed. There's no weight in it. Whether this survives, I doubt it. I really do. Just cut it like a rose, haven't I? Yeah, I'll leave that on there. That's it. And this too here, look at that. That's just rotted. That's gone. Look at that. It's gone. You know what? Firewood, folks. Not going to plant it as deep. And we're going to mix in some of the bark here, so I don't have to bring any compost or anything else like that. Just get some of this bark into the hole here, like we did yesterday with the bark for the veggie garden. Just blend that through so we can get a bit more texture into it, a bit more airflow, so that in case it does bog itself down, at least the bark will keep it apart. It won't be so slurry-like. We've got a bit more roots on this one here now. Because it's not pot bound, oh, it's collapsing already. This was potted up from a smaller pot, I can tell. Look at this. Look at this. See the previous pot size in there? So I'm going to have to break away some of this. There's the root ball internally. It's falling apart. I'd rather it fall apart carefully than me trying to force it into the ground. And that side's okay because it's made a web of roots then it's holding the soil together, but on this side it hasn't yet. So we're going to place it in, this side facing north. And you don't want to put the graft into the ground, folks. See that there? Don't bury it. Try and plant it about to that depth, no more than that. At least 3 or 4 inches, 100 mil above ground. Leave the graft exposed. So I'm going to have to push some of this soil back into here. So we've got, I'm happy with that there. Also, because we're espaliering the tree, we've got to position it in the right way so that we can actually fan it out properly. So we've got 3 uprights and we can do this. We can create that space there and that piece there like that. And that's all we need to do for now. No, oh, look at that. Bloody idiot. Look what I've done. I just split it open. See that there? All right, we've got plenty of time. We're going to tape that up. Leave it for now. Let's just finish everything else. So we just backfill it now. It doesn't need anything special. A little bit of bark mixed into it like that. Look, you can make your own. You can buy some potting mix if you like, if you've got very sandy soil, or even just use some bark to blend into it from the top of your garden beds. Nothing new, something aged. I'm not going to compact the soil. I'm just going to soak it with the water and let it settle down on its own. Okay, that's it. And we'll tie this up too. Actually, no, we've got to fix that split first. A little bit of surgery here, folks. Now I've got this new product here. We're not releasing it yet. It's about 8 to 10 weeks away. I'm bringing it in from Europe. And it's meant to be self-adhesive, super strong, perfect for grafting. Oh, look at that stretch on it. There we are. Look at that, huh? Actually, might stick a little bit above here too. Just as a sealer. Done. Beautiful, stops it from getting water inside. So that will heal beautifully. This isn't sticky. It's not like electric tape. It's not like your grafting tape. Well, it's actually like the bio tape. It's self-adhesive, but without the stickiness. So it's got a natural gripping ability. It'll be available early next year. But for now, enjoy it there. Before we water it in, let's just tie it up carefully. And as you saw earlier, I put a little bit of pressure on the join there when I pressed it back. So when you're trying to shape a tree that's a little bit rigid, the branches are, that is, if they're a little bit rigid, don't try and force it into its final resting position in the first instance. For example, like the branch I split before, rather than pushing it all the way back to there, just push it back ever so gently, just enough to give it the shape that you want it to take, but without causing any stress to any joins there. And let it stay in that position for a while. Then you go back and visit it after a month, 2-3 months, and then just tension it a bit more. So slowly, it starts to take that shape and forms that position that you want. It's like stretching your muscles. If you can't touch your toes in the first instance, you've got to work your way there slowly. So eventually you'll be able to become more flexible, as do the trees too when you're training them. So first but foremost, let me tie this trunk back to the, that's it there, nice and close. And now I can press that there without too much fuss. And of course, well, this time I forgot to put the black grit in, folks. There's no harm in applying it on the surface as well. So if you've got existing plants or you forgot to add it in like I did after you planted, sprinkle it on top and then give your plant a good soaking with our Eco Butch and liquid gold. Yep, look at that, it's draining straight through beautifully. That's what the bark does. Makes the soil so much more porous so that water can penetrate and air can penetrate down deep to where the roots are and where it's needed the most. And that's it. Once you've done that, pull the bark back over the top. In this case I can, because it's a new tree. And when you do mulch your plants, folks, never too much. In winter time and in summertime, it doesn't matter which time of the year it is really. Anything more than anything more than about 75 millimeters, 3 inches of mulch on top is overkill, because what happens is the moisture, the heat, the cold, the fertilizer, anything you're applying over the top, if it's that thick, it's got so much more effort, so much more application that you need to do so you can penetrate through the mulch and down to the roots where it's needed the most. So up to that sort of thickness is all you really need. And if you do end up putting a lot more, make sure it's thinner around the trunk and a lot more in other areas where the roots aren't prevalent. Okay, so you need some black grit and liquid gold and Eco Butch. It's all on our website, vasili'sgarden.com. Our specials are still running every day. Take advantage of them and enjoy your wonderful spring, summer gardening. And if you've got no room, this is a great way to grow some beautiful fruit trees, citrus trees, whatever you love, and still have plenty of room for entertainment if you've got a courtyard, or like to make a nice green wall, no better way than some citrus. Check it all out, vasili'sgarden.com. From me, Vasili, Maresi.